The day the Craxian Empire arrived, Dr. Amara Singh was elbow-deep in rhinoceros dung, collecting samples for her research on megafauna digestive health. 20 years as the head xenobiologist at the Global Wildlife Research Center had taught her that science rarely cared about dignity. The morning sun beat down on the Tanzanian sanctuary as she worked, unaware that humanity's first contact was about to happen in the most unexpected way. The air crackled with electromagnetic energy, causing her tablet to fritz and the nearby acacia trees to shed their leaves. A column of shimmering light materialized 50 feet away, resolving into a towering figure that looked like someone had successfully crossed a praying mantis with a supercomputer. "Greetings, Earth scientist," the being's translation matrix hummed. "I am Grand Executor Xerax of the Craxian Empire. We have come to... What are you doing?" Amara didn't look up from her work, collecting fecal samples. "Unless you're here to help with the analysis, you'll need to wait." The alien's crystalline eyes flickered in what might have been confusion. "Perhaps you misunderstand. We are the most advanced civilization in the Andromeda galaxy. Our bioengineered warbeasts have conquered 37 star systems." "That's nice," Amara replied, finally standing and peeling off her protective gloves. "But unless your warbeasts can help me understand why our rhinos are having digestive issues, I've got more pressing concerns." Xerax's secondary breathing apparatus pulsed with barely contained irritation. Its towering form cast a shadow over Amara as it gestured toward the sanctuary's watering hole. "Your primitive wildlife is pathetically obsolete. No neural enhancements, no genetic modifications, not even basic defensive capabilities." A splash from the watering hole caught their attention. Brutus, the sanctuary's largest hippopotamus, surfaced briefly, his massive form displacing enough water to create small waves. The alien sensors whirred as they analyzed the creature. "Observe that specimen," Xerax sneered. "Barely able to move efficiently. No obvious weapons, clearly an evolutionary dead end." Amara felt a smile tugging at her lips. She'd seen that look in Brutus's eyes before, usually right before overconfident tourists learned why hippos had a higher body count than lions in Africa. "I wouldn't underestimate Earth's wildlife," she warned, but Xerax was already continuing its proclamation. "The Craxian Empire has determined your planet suitable for conquest. However, we are not without mercy. Our traditions demand we offer conquered species one chance at ritual combat. Our champion against yours." "And if we win?" Amara asked, watching as Brutus submerged again, leaving only his eyes and nostrils above water. "Then we leave your solar system and mark it as protected territory. But be realistic. Your primitive species has no chance against our supreme achievement in biological warfare." As Xerax spoke, a small drone emerged from its transport beam, projecting a hologram of their champion. The creature looked like someone had combined a titanium alloy tank with a velociraptor and given it plasma cannons for good measure. Amara studied the hologram, then looked back at Brutus, who was now watching the proceedings with unusual interest. She'd spent years studying hippopotamus behavior, and she knew that look. It was the same one Brutus got right before he reminded everyone why his species was considered one of the most dangerous in Africa. "We accept your challenge," she said suddenly, causing Xerax's translation matrix to emit a burst of static in surprise. "You haven't even consulted your world leaders," the alien protested. "Trust me," Amara replied, already pulling out her satellite phone to call the United Nations Emergency Response Team. "They'll agree when they hear my champion selection." As Xerax's transport beam began to recall them, Amara couldn't help but add, "Oh, and one more thing. Your warbeast might want to avoid wearing that shade of purple. Brutus really hates purple." The alien vanished, leaving Amara alone with her thoughts and a very interested hippopotamus. Sometimes the most dangerous things in nature weren't the ones engineered in laboratories. Sometimes they were the ones that looked like overgrown river horses with bad attitudes. She looked at Brutus, who had moved closer to the shore, His small ears focused forward with interest. "Well, big guy," she said, "looks like you're about to become Earth's champion. Let's show them what 3 tons of bad-tempered river horse can do." In the distance, the alien mothership hung in the sky like a purple thundercloud, unaware that their greatest challenge would come not from humanity's weapons, but from one of Earth's most underestimated creatures. The United Nations Security Council chamber had never been so crowded. World leaders sat shoulder to shoulder as a holographic display dominated the center of the room, showing the Kraxian warbeasts tearing through simulated military defenses like wet paper. Dr. Amara Singh sat in the back, frantically organizing her presentation while ignoring the whispers around her. "As you can see," Grand Executor Xerax's voice filled the chamber, "resistance is futile. Our Apex-class combat organism represents the pinnacle of biological engineering. Even your most advanced weapons would be useless against it." The UN Secretary-General, Rashida Patel, maintained her composure despite the devastating demonstration. "And you say we have one chance to defend ourselves?" Indeed, Xerax's translator hummed with barely concealed amusement. "The Kraxian Empire offers all species one opportunity for ritual combat. One champion against one champion, no technological weapons, purely biological combat." Dr. Singh raised her hand. The Secretary-General, knowing her reputation for unconventional solutions, nodded for her to speak. "What are the exact rules regarding our choice of champion?" she asked. Xerax's crystalline eyes sparkled. "Any native Earth species, no technological enhancements, no weapons, pure biological combat, including non-predators, though your choice of prey animal would make no difference. Our warbeast is designed to—" "I choose Brutus," Amara interrupted. The chamber erupted in confused murmurs. Secretary-General Patel pinched the bridge of her nose. "Dr. Singh, are you suggesting we stake the fate of Earth on a hippopotamus?" "With all due respect, Madam Secretary, Brutus is perfect for this." Amara quickly pulled up her own holographic display. "First, hippos are responsible for more human deaths in Africa than any other large animal. Second, they can run at 19 miles per hour on land and move even faster in water. Third, their bite force is strong enough to crush a small crocodile." "But Dr. Singh," the Chinese ambassador began. "Fourth," she continued, warming to her subject, "they're highly territorial, and Brutus has been particularly aggressive since we had to put him on a diet. And fifth," she smiled at Xerax, whose purple exoskeleton seemed to pale slightly, "he really, really hates the color purple." The alien commander's breathing bladders inflated with indignation. "This is absurd. You would pit a mere river dweller against our supreme achievement in biological warfare." "Unless you're scared," Amara replied sweetly. The chamber went silent. Xerax's translation matrix emitted a sound like static-filled laughter. "The Kraxian Empire fears nothing. We accept your champion. The combat will take place in 3 planetary rotations at your Lake Tanganyika." As the alien delegation teleported away, Secretary-General Patel turned to Amara. "This better work, Dr. Singh. The fate of our planet depends on it." "Trust me," Amara replied, already typing instructions to her team. "They think they've engineered the perfect killing machine, but they've never seen what 3 tons of bad-tempered hippo can do when someone's in their territory." Back at the sanctuary, Amara found her research assistant, Dr. Raj Kumar, already preparing Brutus's enclosure. "The whole world's talking about your UN presentation," he said, not looking up from his tablet. "Social media is divided between calling you a genius and calling you insane." "Why not both?" Amara watched as Brutus surfaced in his pool, opening his massive jaws in what looked like a yawn but was actually a show of dominance. "Did you implement the training protocols I sent?" Raj nodded. "Though I have to say, preparing a hippo for interstellar combat isn't exactly what I expected when I took this job." "Life's full of surprises," Amara replied, pulling up the latest satellite images of the alien mothership. Have you noticed how their ship's hull matches exactly the shade of purple that sent Brutus into a rampage last tourist season? The one where he nearly flipped that safari boat. The very same. Amara smiled as Brutus submerged again, leaving only his eyes above water, a pose she'd seen countless times before he charged. The Craxians think they understand combat because they've engineered it, but they're about to learn that nature had a few billion years head start on their genetic modifications. As if to emphasize her point, Brutus suddenly lunged forward, his massive form moving with surprising speed as he snapped up the training target they'd set up. The reinforced metal dummy, designed to simulate the Warbeast's approximate size, crumpled like aluminum foil in his jaws. "Well," Raj said after a moment of stunned silence, "at least we know he's motivated. The Craxians want to see Earth's champion." Amara watched as Brutus casually crushed the remains of the target. "I say we give them exactly what they're asking for. They just might not like what they get." The problem with preparing a hippopotamus for interstellar combat, Dr. Amara Singh quickly discovered, was that hippos didn't particularly care about interstellar combat. Brutus's training regimen mostly consisted of floating in his pool, occasionally demolishing reinforced testing dummies, and demanding more watermelon. "This is your champion." Grand Executor Zurax had returned for a pre-combat inspection, accompanied by a team of Craxian scientists who kept running scanners over Brutus's substantial bulk. "It appears even less impressive in person." Brutus responded by opening his mouth 150 degrees wide, displaying teeth the size of bananas. One of the alien scientists dropped its scanner. "That's just how he stretches," Amara explained helpfully. "Would you like to see him run?" "Your specimen appears physically incapable of rapid movement," the lead scientist observed, consulting its readings. "Its mass distribution suggests." Raj, standing nearby with a watermelon, caught Amara's subtle nod. He threw the fruit toward the far end of Brutus's enclosure. 3 tons of hippopotamus suddenly moved like a linebacker late for practice, covering 30 meters in under 2 seconds. The ground literally shook. The alien delegation took a collective step backward. "Impossible," the scientist muttered. "Did your calculations account for Brutus's competitive spirit?" Amara asked innocently. "He takes his watermelon very seriously." "You attempt to hide your fear," Zyrax declared, though its tentacles were wrapped more tightly around its ceremonial staff. "Our warbeast will make short work of your aquatic herbivore." The commander projected a hologram showing their champion, a nightmare creature that looked like someone had combined a titanium dinosaur with a tank and given it plasma claws for good measure. The Apex Destroyer has never been defeated in ritual combat. Its neural processors can calculate 50,000 combat solutions per second. Its biocrystalline armor can withstand direct energy weapon impacts. Its plasma claws can. Brutus chose that moment to demonstrate his territorial spray, using his tail to scatter an impressive arc of processed plant matter. The hologram flickered as several droplets passed through it. Did your beast just attempt to defecate on our champion's image?" Zyrax's translator struggled to convey its mix of horror and outrage. "Oh no," Amara replied. "If he was trying, he wouldn't have missed." After the alien delegation departed, their dignity somewhat diminished, Raj approached with his tablet. "The UN wants an update on Brutus's combat readiness. What should I tell them?" Amara watched as Brutus submerged himself in his pool, leaving just his eyes above water level, his preferred position when feeling particularly pleased with himself. "Tell them our champion has completed his advanced tactical training, demonstrated superior mobility capabilities, and successfully executed his first psychological warfare maneuver against the enemy." "You mean he ran for a watermelon and then pooped at them?" In diplomatic communications, Raj, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. The next day brought a series of unexpected visitors. Military strategists wanted to analyze Brutus's combat potential. Journalists tried to get exclusive interviews about Earth's unusual champion. Even a group of Las Vegas bookmakers showed up, trying to calculate odds for what they were calling the ultimate underdog fight. Through it all, Brutus remained remarkably unfazed. He continued his daily routine of territorial patrols, aggressive displays toward anything purple, and strategic watermelon consumption. The only notable change was his increasing interest in the hovering alien drones that kept attempting to scan him. "I don't think they understand," Amara told Raj as they watched Brutus casually crush another reinforced testing dummy. "They keep analyzing him like he's some kind of weapon system." "Isn't that what they want him to be?" Raj asked, recording the Bite Force readings. "Earth's champion." "That's exactly what they don't get." Amara smiled as Brutus surfaced, his small ears focused forward with interest as another purple drone ventured too close to his territory. "We're not turning him into a weapon. We're just letting him be exactly what he is, 3 tons of highly territorial hippopotamus who really doesn't like uninvited guests in his space." The drone disappeared with a splash and a crunch. Somewhere above, in the Craxian mothership, warning signals probably flashed. On Earth, in a muddy pool in Tanzania, Brutus simply continued his daily routine, unconcerned about tomorrow's battle for the fate of the planet. After all, from his perspective, it was just another day of dealing with annoying purple things in his territory. The fact that this time it might save humanity was, at best, a secondary concern to the prospect of his evening watermelon. Lake Tanganyika had never seen anything quite like this. Craxian ships hung in the sky like massive purple Christmas ornaments, their anti-gravity fields creating gentle ripples across the water surface. Thousands of spectators, both human and alien, watched from hovering platforms at a very safe distance. Amara had insisted on that part. "Welcome to the ritual combat," Zyrax's voice boomed across the lake. "Today, the primitive species of Earth will learn the futility of resistance against the Craxian Empire." The alien crowd chittered in appreciation. The human crowd mostly looked nervous, except for Amara's research team, who were taking bets. Raj had already wagered 3 months' salary on Brutus. "Behold our champion." A massive transport beam deposited the Apex destroyer at the lake's edge. In person, it was even more terrifying than the hologram. Its biocrystalline armor shifted colors in the sunlight, its neural processors hummed with artificial intelligence, and its plasma claws left scorch marks in the ground. The alien Warbeast let out a roar that shattered several camera drones and sent a flock of flamingos heading for neighboring countries. The Craxian spectators erupted in cheers. "And now," Zyrax said, unable to completely hide the amusement in its translator voice, "behold the Earth champion." Nothing happened. Amara pressed a button on her remote. A large chunk of watermelon splashed into the lake. The water exploded. Brutus emerged like a submarine with anchor management issues. Water cascaded off his massive form as he rose, his tiny ears rotating forward, his eyes focused on the Apex destroyer with the kind of intense interest usually reserved for tourists who got too close to his territory. The Apex destroyer's neural processors whirred as they attempted to calculate the threat level of what appeared to be a wet gray boulder with teeth. Brutus opened his mouth wide enough to fit a small car. Several alien spectators dropped their recording devices. "The combat will begin on my mark," Zyrax announced, its tentacles twisting nervously. "Remember, the fight continues until one champion submits or is unable to continue." Amara checked her watch. "You might want to start it soon. Brutus gets cranky if he misses his afternoon nap." "Very well. Champions, prepare for." Brutus, who had apparently decided that the purple creature in his lake was taking too long to leave his territory, charge. "Did you know that hippos don't actually swim? They run underwater. They also run on land at speeds that would get them ticketed in a school zone." The Apex destroyer's neural processors were still calculating the physics of this when 3 tons of irritated riverhorse slammed into it like a freight train made of meat and bad decisions. The Warbeast's biocrystalline armor, designed to withstand energy weapons and ballistic impacts, met the focused force of Brutus's bite. The sound was somewhere between a car crash and someone stepping on a very large bag of potato chips. "That's not possible," one of the alien scientists shouted. "The armor matrix is rated 4. The rest of the sentence was lost as Brutus, with the apex destroyer still in his jaws, executed what Amara would later describe in her report as advanced aquatic combat maneuvers. To everyone else, it looked like he was playing with his food. The Warbeast's plasma claws sparked uselessly against Brutus's thick hide. Its neural processors frantically calculated escape routes, but seemed unable to account for the simple fact that hippos are surprisingly fast. The battle ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. Specifically, the whimper of the apex destroyer's neural processors as they attempted to process being used as the world's most technologically advanced shoe toy. The Warbeast lay. As Amara completed her final report for the UN, she couldn't help but smile at the surveillance footage from passing satellites. The Craxian Empire had indeed marked Earth as protected territory, but they'd also added a second designation that roughly translated to "Beware of Hippo." Sometimes, she reflected, the best solutions to humanity's problems weren't the ones we designed, but the ones that had been there all along, waiting patiently in the water for their moment to shine. Or in Brutus's case, waiting impatiently for their next watermelon.